everyone.
Hello.
I hope everyone is good. I was trying to wait and figure out when that intro would end because Blunders has put together a little intro for us there and it said game over. I was like, oh no, it's finished. We're going to be booted out. Terrible. Thank you, Blunders, for that intro. And good evening, everybody. We'll get to who is in the chat in just a moment. But this is your bonus episode of RGR Live this week. As you can see from the title, we're going to be talking about the Debug Indie Game Awards, and we will get to that in just a moment. But on the panel this evening, we have got Tim.
Hello, good evening.
We have got from the mighty Debug team, we have got Alex.
Hello, how you doing?
Very good, sir, and how are you?
Very good, very tired and ready to do the stream.
Splendid. And we also have Daniel. How are you doing, Mr. Dan?
I'm doing fantastically well. Greetings all.
I think this is a long time coming. I think we've been trying to get you on our channel for at least a year or more of messaging saying, and every time we say, oh yeah, send me a message. I'll come on. Well,
Yeah.
we finally caught you. So
I feel like it might even be as much as 3 years, if you can believe that.
possibly.
It is a
Quite
while.
possibly, yeah.
I seem to remember you saying about your inbox numbers at one point, and it terrified me. I thought, I'm in there somewhere.
Yeah, it was definitely pre debug, and we've been doing that for 2 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
scary
Okay.
stuff.
Time flies, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Time is flying. Time just doesn't exist anymore. I'm convinced of that. I'm convinced it's just, it doesn't exist. Okay, in the chat this evening, we have got the man, the myth, the legend, David Newland. It's wonderful to see you. We have got Vernon Couchman. We have got Mag in the house. We have got Rob Taylor. It would not be the same without you, Mr. Taylor. And for some reason, my mouse. There we are. We're catching up. We've got Archive Gig. It's good to see you. We've got Nick Crocker. Hello, Mr. Crocker. I hope you are well. We have got Tales from the Junkland Wastes, which I still think is one of the best handle names. Good evening, sir. You are all very, very welcome to join us along this evening. So it's not just a clever title. We are here to talk about the Debug Indie Game Awards, which was on Friday. What was the date? Again, I say
21st of February.
Yeah.
there we go. 21st of February.
I had that etched in my mind for about the last 6 months now.
And I think it shows. I think we'll get to the event itself, but I think the day on the whole, you guys must have been super proud with how it all went. I thought it was a really, really cool event to be a part of.
Yeah, thank you.
So for people that unfortunately weren't able to attend, or for people that maybe have been living under a rock, let's run with what Debug is for people, and then we will get to the Indie Game Awards. So what is Debug?
Debug is primarily a print magazine, so physical real-world magazine, all about indie games. And we've, in kind of recent years, started to diversify into events. So one of them being the Indie Game Awards.
Excellent. And when did the construct for Debug come to fruition? When was the sort of initial idea seeded?
Yeah, so the seed of the idea, I think, was around about towards the end of 2022. I think that's the best way of putting it. Winter 2022. We started to talk about the fact that there were a bunch of independent magazines that were starting to do interesting things. And I thought to myself, that works in the retro kind of space. There's a lot of that. Could it work in the indie game space? Because I've always wanted to launch a magazine, like for years and years and years, for like as long as I can remember. When I was a kid, I really wanted to launch a magazine, and it just seemed like the right time. Funds were there, time was there. People weren't doing much because it was sort of post-pandemic kind of time.
Yep.
And that was around about the time. But then after 6 months of planning, we launched it in April 2023.
Yep. And it's been a success, it's safe to say.
I think that's fair to say. Yeah, it's not done too badly.
It's for people that haven't picked it up. we'll put links in the descriptions and all this wonderful stuff. It is a fantastic magazine. It's very, I would say, it's a very high-end magazine.
Mm.
The look of it, the feel of it, the way it's written, it feels like a magazine that you want to buy and you want to keep and keep hold of. And how frequently is it published?
So until very, very recently, it was quarterly, but we've literally just switched to every 2 months.
Okay,
so bi-monthly.
Excellent.
Bi-monthly, which apparently also means every 2 weeks. It's a weird word. But yeah, every
Yeah,
2
I
months.
always get confused when people say bi-weekly. It's like, do you mean twice a week or twice in like once in 2 weeks? Is it fortnightly or yeah? So that always confuses me.
I've gone down that rabbit hole. It really does mean both things.
It might be a regional thing, perhaps in different parts of the country. It means different different things to different people.
I've heard it suggested that you should say semi-monthly, but then that's a real mouthful.
Yeah, so it's every 2 months.
Yes, that's the short answer.
And where do you sort of curate all the people that contribute to the magazine from? Is it from a sort of a wide net of people?
Good question. I think we've had 30 to 40 unique writers on the magazine so far. We've got a few people that are on like every issue. For example, so I don't know if everyone knows Mark, who does the Sega mags.
Yes.
So he's been on every single issue from 1 through to 8, which is the one that's just come out, and he's also on 9, which is in the works. But everyone else is pretty much drafted in when they've got something interesting to say.
Okay, interesting. So that's
pictures.
Yeah, that's got to be quite good though, because that's got to keep things fresh. It's got to keep different opinions coming through on a regular basis, which will, in turn, I guess, keep the people reading it, I guess, on their toes as well. You're not used to the same writing all the time, which is that's quite unique.
Yeah, I think fresh is good, right?
Fresh is always good. Everything fresh all the time.
It's also a great way of actually catching these indie games that are coming out and a place for them to actually be showcased, like the magazine and the event we just done. It's great to see those games on display and having a chance to play them, and that they might otherwise possibly be overlooked by people that might not have seen them. And I've certainly discovered games from following Debug that I otherwise maybe might not have played or picked up. I think one of my favorite games last year that I played was Cocoon, and that came from your recommendation at Knots VG. So what is your favorite game of the year? And he said, "Oh, Cocoon." I was like, I've not played that, but it was on the front cover of the magazine that I picked up. Like, I really should play it, and it was fantastic. It was really good. So yeah, it's a great way of finding some games to play that you might have possibly missed otherwise.
Yeah, a lot of them are quite overlooked, right?
Yeah. And the Alex, when did you join the Debug team?
When did I? So it must have been tail end of 2023. Yeah, it must have been when we started talking about.
Yeah, it's a little grey, isn't it? It's like little blurred edges there.
Yeah, I think it was roughly then. Funny actually, yeah. So it was, because it was the EGX towards the tail end of 2023.
October.
So me and Dan we had a chat. This chat was meant to be like 10 minutes, ended up being about 3 hours, and we were basically just talking about. Dan was like, "Okay, so I've got this idea." Basically about trying to bring some form of indie game event to the forefront, because obviously, there obviously has been some, and they've now gone, unfortunately, like WASD or WASD. But there really is nothing else for indie gaming. I mean, obviously, unless it's part of another event, for example. But for it to stand on its own as its own thing, and then also have the whole thing, really, the whole package. It's the awards, it's the whole lot. I'm going on a tangent here, but anyway, so it was then that I joined, and we just started kind of spitballing ideas on kind of what we do, where we do it. Then that was kind of where it was born, really. The event side of it, anyway.
Yeah. And was your sort of input to initially come in from your experience with doing the VGE events that you've done, and to see if that could be brought in for Debug?
Yeah, essentially. So I think, if I remember, so obviously Dan's been at every single VG event so far, from day one, and obviously we've been friends for quite a while now. We've been mates for a while, and where was I going with this? And basically, how do I put it? So, yeah, I mean, I'm assuming he was obviously looking at what I was doing with the events and went, okay, yeah, he's obviously all right at doing this. I'll never blow my own trumpet, but he obviously looked at it and went, okay, yeah, he can obviously do an event.
He doesn't mind working hard for very little money.
There you go. That's exactly right. So, and to be fair, I've said to Dan from day one, I just enjoy doing it. I just enjoy being part of it. So, and obviously being a mate at the same time makes it even easier. And I think we've got a good dynamic in the team, to be fair. So, yeah, honoured to be part of it.
It's great to have you.
Thank you.
I would definitely agree. As we've sort of seen the debug team grow a little bit each year, it's at this point now where you turn up at like we did for the awards, and there is a team of you, and it's it's really solid, and you all obviously get on and can work well together to bring all the various things that you guys have been doing to fruition. Certainly, so the Indie Game Awards, Debug Indie Game Awards, it had its first outing last year,
February the 2nd, 2024.
Another
I'm a dates guy, if you couldn't tell.
And we heard incredibly good things about that. I think it was very well received. What did you sort of maybe learn from that first event to bring you through to this event?
Oh, that's a whole topic on its own. That is.
Oh yeah.
I think it's fair to say there were things that didn't go quite to plan, but we definitely learned from that. And basically, pretty much the day afterwards, it was Amy actually. She was like, "Right, this is what needs to happen next time," and she made this long list of like basically what do we do next, and we learned from it.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
And in sort of preparing for the Debug Awards 2025, what was some of the things that you were thinking? Right, this year, this is an absolute must. These particular things. What sort of things were you thinking?
So if we're just like nailing down into small little bits and pieces, it was just we just wanted to make it not appear more professional, because I think it is anyway. But do you know what I mean? So, for example, there were little things last year, for example, where we didn't have a schedule for the talks, just simple things like that. But we wanted to not just produce a schedule, we wanted to do it properly. We wanted it on screens. We wanted it to it all to present how the magazine is. It's a professional thing. It's a great thing.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to make it, we wanted people to walk away and go, okay, that was awesome. And there's been so much great feedback already from all of the images that were done by Jesse Lawrence Photography, plug there. So he did all of our photography. He's bashed all of those out and edited them already. So they're already out there now. And yeah, from all the nice comments from all the developers that were there, some that weren't, some that wanted to be, some that even didn't even know it was happening. So many people have said they didn't even know it was happening. So, it's
no matter how hard you try, there's always people that end up not being aware of it.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, that's it really. But that and just simple things, but people would never notice. We did,
but you guys noticed.
Correct. We noticed, and just things like getting Dan more out on the floor a bit more to speak to people, because naturally people want to see Dan, right? It's at the end of the day, this is his baby. We're all helping, but this is his.
I was in my cave last year.
Yeah, and
I was in the cave a fair bit this year as well, but
yeah, but still,
not quite so much this year. We got
it's
to
good
see you
be
out and
and
about.
speak. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And we even
And
got
there's
introduced
definitely
to Pugopoly because of it.
Oh yeah,
oh yes.
Pugopoly.
I just suppose there was certainly good turnout for the awards section of the day, and
yes.
it was good to see there's a lot of people there to claim the awards, and also just some acceptance videos and things like that. So it's definitely had a large turnout in the room. There's definitely a good, real nice buzz in the room being sat in the audience for that. There's definitely a big buzz going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really, really important to me, actually, that we can do these things in person, because I think there was a trend of going digital with a lot of this for a long time, which definitely has its place. It's awesome. But I wanted something that was kind of like the retro events where people would actually come and hang out and chat and, just have a good time in each other's presence.
Well, in that case, you succeeded, because there was there was a lot of fun conversations. There was a lot of energy throughout the entire day. I thought the vibe throughout the day from the moment we got there was really, really positive. And then, like Tim says, in the evening, it was quite exciting. Being sat there, you're like, there's a room full of people. There's dry ice. There's there's video screens and
I'm glad you noticed the dry ice.
Oh,
Yes.
dude, yeah. As soon
That
as
was
you
very
walked in,
important
it was
for me.
very solid.
There was even a hooch behind the bar. I don't think I've had a hooch lemonade for about
Was
15
there?
years. Yeah, I think that's the first time I had a hooch. I saw them behind the bar. I was like, I'm gonna have to have one of those, because I haven't had one of those in about 15 years.
I wonder if that's anything to do with it being a student.
Probably.
Student
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like their hooch. And what's the other one? The I don't know, ice something.
Oh, Smirnoff Ice.
Smirnoff Ice.
Smirnoff Ice,
Yeah,
Smirnoff Ice. I think WKD's made a bit of a comeback recently. So yeah.
But Bacardi Breezes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Going
I was
right
never
back
into
now.
them. Way too sweet.
Right. I always liked hooch though. That was one of my
Yeah.
go-tos back in the day. But yeah, back to the event. It was great as well when you've got the showcase floor, and it's similar to when we've been to other events like WASD and things like that, when you've got a chance to play the game, but the person that has made it is there presenting it, so you can talk to the developer, and that's just really cool to be able to like play a demo of a game, and you've actually got the developer there, and some of them have got their finished games as well. So some of the guys have got actual games you can buy right there, and also because a couple of the talk show today we're talking about streaming stuff on platforms like Antstream, and then physical game releases, which is a big thing and very popular like the indie scene as well. And seeing like some of the boxed games was really cool. Actually getting to go around and see some of the physical boxes of games and cartridge and discs and all sorts of other mediums. It's just a really cool thing to get to go around and see.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So for people
glad
that
we could make it happen.
it's got to happen annually now. I'm afraid you've set a mark.
That's certainly the demand.
Indeed. And for people that weren't able to attend, essentially the venue was the something dome. I can't remember.
The Metronome. Yeah.
And as soon as you walked into reception, the area was sort of like a mini, like Tim just said, like a mini sort of gaming event. There were stalls there. And it was all the way through the reception into the bar area, and there was a really good selection of games. There was, obviously they were all indie games, but there was some sort of Game Boy games. There was little adventure games. There was point and click. There was like old sort of dungeon crawlers. There was platformers. Some with a slightly more horror supernatural elements. Some that are just downright cutesy, like the little taxi game was just dead sweet to watch. There was fighting game. There was pretty much every genre you could think of, and as you walked around, each one felt completely unique, which in an era of gaming is quite unique in itself. A lot of games, especially we all enjoy the AAA titles, but by and large, if you've played a first-person shooter, you've played a first-person shooter. Whereas I think with an indie game, even though it's a genre that may have been done to death, there's always something different about it. Whether it's the control system, whether it's the way it looks, or just how the whole thing plays together. There's just something about indie that's got a big freedom to kind of be like, what, I'm just gonna do what I want and see what happens.
Yeah, that's certainly how we see it. And we, when we're looking at games to cover or feature, we always look for something that's a little bit different, that's trying something new. It doesn't always work, right? Like sometimes you take these risks, they don't pay off. But indies are able to take those risks that the AAAs, they look at it and they go, oh, we might not, we might lose billions doing this.
Yep.
You know, it's a completely different industry almost, it feels like now.
And I get the impression from talking to a few different people that have worked for like AAA studios and had a long career in gaming. It's something that's very appealing to a lot of people, and there's lots of people who would love to work for like a big studio and work on a, you know, modern game. But all the people I speak to on it, there's a very high amount of pressure and stress, and you just hear these people that's like, yeah, we worked 7 days a week, all these extra hours, and you know, some people get like really broken by that environment that seems to come with developing games in that level, and some people have moved from AAA scene into doing indie. And I just think, you know, doing indie games, the other thing I'm really impressed by a lot of times, oh, this looks like a great game, who's worked on it? It's like, oh, we're a small team of 3 people. Oh, how long have you been doing this for? Oh, about a year. It's like, you've made this in a year with 3 people. Okay, so it's really impressive what people can do. There's some really talented people out there producing.
Well, the other way sometimes is we'll get someone that's like, I've been working on this game for 12 years on my own, and I finally want to show it off to people. There's a lot of pressure involved, I guess.
Yeah. And the other thing that I think is great from a lot of the devs that we've spoken to over the last couple of years and gotten to know and that sort of thing is, there's not this gatekeeping community with it. Everyone I've spoken to, and I'm like, I'm interested in doing something. It's like, why don't you try this? Oh, I recommend going to this platform. Also, join the Discord. And there's lots of people sat there waiting to help you. There's not this gatekeeping of like, no, I'm an indie dev. You can't be an indie dev. It's hey, I'm an indie dev. It's great fun. Why don't you be an indie dev too? And it's a very like, you know,
welcoming community.
Yeah, welcoming, collaborative community, which you don't see in a lot of space nowadays. So it's great to see that in the indie scene.
To be fair, though, like I'll say that from working with, like, when I say working, just doing videos with like the retro homebrew community. It's essentially, I wouldn't say it's exactly the same thing, but they are essentially indie games. A lot of them. When I say homebrews, they're just indie games on an old platform, right?
Yeah.
And that community, they all, the majority, I should say, all help each other out. Like, if someone's got a question, they're all in the, like, I'm obviously specifically talking about Dreamcast, as you can imagine, or Mega Drive, but all of these Discord groups, they're all constantly helping each other out. And like you say, there's no gatekeeping there. It's just everyone trying to make a game that they want people to enjoy. And obviously, with homebrew on older systems, maybe not even make any money from it. They're just doing it because they enjoy it and they want people to play their game. But
I agree completely. And that's exactly the community that I came from, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think the chap that made the train, what was his name, Tim? Alex. Yeah. As soon as we got there, you and him immediately were like, how's it going? Started chatting, and he was asking, so how's your game going along? Oh yeah, it's great, but there's this thing that I can't get to work. And he's like, oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, what you need to do is, and just sort of told you this thing. You're like, oh cool. Well, thanks very much. And you're like, oh, it's not a nice thing to do. It's almost like we all need to be jumping and high-fiving at the same time. You know, it just is a nice environment, and in a world where there's, you know, increasing not nice environments, it is really nice to have all of that together.
See, we have Ricky.
I was going to say
Hey.
Ricky.
Debug Award winner.
I've got one of their games right here, funny enough.
You have. Oh, this was...
Oh, you can't see it because... let me change the background. Can I do that?
This is one of the physical games release that we were talking about that you got.
Quite messy, but...
Let's have a look.
Oh, it's
very nice. Look at that.
Look at
it.
It's
lovely.
Beautiful.
We'll just keep that background because it's pretty cool.
What, the stuff here?
Yeah, that's a cool Dreamcast you got there. What's that all about?
I ain't going into that. It is limited, though. Is that a 1 of 1? I can't remember now.
It is a 1 of 1.
There you go, see. It's got a little metal plaque on it and everything. But yeah, Roadcraft, here it is. There's a cart. Got a little sword there. Got a little jewel up there.
Nice.
Absolutely
but yeah.
beautiful.
Commodore 64 goodness right here. Sorry, I had to
So
show that
good.
off. And obviously,
Yeah,
there we go. There they are.
Yeah, I think I've got. Hang on. I've got one.
we
here,
have.
hang on.
We all have Badger coasters.
So, I mean, I can get the Dreamcast out, Amy,
Okay.
but
And here's mine. There you go.
I mean, we're on a retro gaming channel,
There it
right?
is.
So
True.
Exactly. She's there. Go into it, Alex.
oh man,
I did. The other thing I did manage to pick up the event was a few stickers, courtesy of Dan. And when I got home, they were claimed by my children. So I kept my coasters. The stickers were used on my children's wardrobes with their sticker collection. I was like, oh, great.
hold on. Let me open this up. Don't want to drop it. Let's just get the console itself out.
While Alex is doing that, maybe Ricky could answer a question. The full version, is that going to be? Is it on Steam as well? Because I saw that the Amiga version was there, and I've recently acquired a Steam Deck. I'm itching to put some cool games on it. Is Roadcraft on the Steam Deck? It must be.
Don't know if it is. I think they're exploring other avenues. That's probably all I could say. But I don't know actually. Yeah, that they might be able to answer that. But
Okay.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
there's certainly quite a lot of the indie games are available on Steam wishlist. Oh, there you go. He has put.
you'd be surprised how many aren't actually, because we had
multi-version game.
Oh, there you go.
we had the retro world category,
Yeah.
and it's surprising how few of them were actually available on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more tricky to judge that, because you want to have like a panel that's impartial, right? And you want to give them the version, not like an emulated version.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a challenge, but we did it. We got through it.
Here
Here
it
we
is.
go.
It's the Dreamcast. But no one can probably read it. It's a plaque essentially.
Well, it's a signature, isn't it?
Yeah. So it says special edition within the name of the guy. Bad that I'm not gonna remember who this guy is. But it says 00337 on it. So I don't know if that's like the number of the release of the console. I'm not really sure. Dan might know, but
basically they that exact particular one was made for a Dreamcast developer at the time of its release.
Okay.
yeah.
Ooh.
So that's like their name essentially.
Yeah, they engraved their name on it.
Yeah.
Japanese
Very
chap.
pretty.
Yeah. I don't think this is a broadband adapter on it. If it was, I'd be pretty happy. Although I did get one the other day. So there we go. Which
Oh, wow.
As well.
yeah, I finally got one.
Nice.
That was 150. I know that sounds quite a lot. To be fair, it's not cheap, right? But it will enable me to finally go online on the Dreamcast.
That's it.
There
Fantasy
are-
Star Online. That's it. You're going to be stuck in.
All of that, yeah. Quake 3, you name it.
I'm pretty sure we will come back to debug. We've gone on a tangent
Sorry.
now. No,
Sorry,
you're
guys.
all good. Tangents are good. I'm pretty sure Retrofaith still uses a Fantasy Star Online team, and they still meet incredibly regularly.
Yeah.
So,
The
yeah.
GameCube version, though, weirdly.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's apparently it's like just performs a little bit better.
That shocks me in a way. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I think it's
Faith
just the
loves
tiny
Dreamcast, right? So you
does.
think maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, apparently there are Amiga emulators for Dreamcast.
There are.
Mm.
I think it was Ricky I was speaking to about it, funny enough. So that, yeah.
Ah, yes.
And it
I
would
can
work
imagine
flawlessly.
I can imagine that conversation.
Oh, yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
asked. I was like, potentially on the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
And then I think that's when I mentioned the Amiga emulator, which, here we go. There's another little book for you. A is for Alien.
Oh, I love it. Yes, it's the children's Alien story where you can
That's it.
start talking about it.
Yeah. It's all in
B
there.
is for Bishop. Although
Have
Bishop
you
isn't
got
in
your
that, so it's not.
Xenomorph from the awards?
That is in the other room. That's in the bedroom. I sleep with that, mate.
Oh, great.
There you go. Sorry,
I have-
We're just going through my shelves.
Now we're on the topic of Alien. I have. Where's it? This way. This way. No.
No, there it is.
That's one of my heads. That's the 25th anniversary one from Japan, and then behind there is the big 18-inch Alien and the Alien print there, and all behind it. I like Alien. There's lots of Alien stuff in here.
Good man. Good man.
Alien is good. Anyway, segueing back,
Yes.
back, bringing it all back. How did you guys sort of come together to put the sort of the curation of who was going to be out at the event itself? Was there a conscious decision behind some of it, in that you want to have like a broad range of games and developers, or was it, or how did it work?
Yeah, so obviously people they deploy. So Dan will put out a post, or Debug, I should say, puts out a post saying, do you want to be at this year's coming Debug Indie Game Awards? And obviously with that is the exhibition space. And then obviously, as you can imagine, we get a huge amount of people saying they want to be part of it.
Yeah.
With that, obviously, there's a caveat that the game has to be in a playable state. It can't just be, like a proof of concept or something. It has to be playable.
And they have to be able to attend in person, because that's
correct.
really important.
Absolutely. Yep. That's a must. If the actual developer themselves can't be there, that's kind of we just want them to be able to answer questions that people have, because a lot of the feedback I had from developers there was that they really liked the fact people were feeding back to them, because ultimately with these type of events, that's where they hear feedback. Yes, people can post things online, but they want real world responses there and then. They
want to be able to witness it in person too.
Yeah, exactly. Because
I won't name names, but like there have been big events that I've been to, and I've asked questions, and the people that are presenting the game are like, I don't even know what this is.
Yeah, because they're not part of it. They're just like presenting it. Yeah.
It's very volunteers or whatever. Yeah.
I think it's quite useful for dev as well. If you're getting someone to play your game, that's like someone that's not touched this game before, it's their first experience playing on it, and you just watch them and think, oh, okay, they figured out that a lot quicker than I thought someone would, and they're stuck on this bit that I thought was really obvious, and it just gives you that. You can't really tell how people are going to approach challenges in the game until you just watch someone going in new, and it gives you a really good insight. Like, okay, how intuitive is this really? And it's really hard, isn't it? Because when you're making it, you know exactly what to do, because you made it. So if you get someone else, it's like, how obvious is it to someone else? So it's a useful, do to get as much playtesting as you can, really, from lots of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, that is good. That's sort of how the indie devs sort of felt about it, because that's, it could get to that point where some people don't. I guess it's the wrong industry if you don't like criticism to sort of create something and put it out there and then be like, but you can't critique it. So I think I've answered my own question there, which is but but it is cool. It's something that I think we first got to sort of experience possibly at the second Knots VGE, when Dan, you were there with Wave Game. So that was probably the first time I ever really was at an event where the developer was there and you could go, well, this is cool. How does this work?
We were there for the first one too.
Yes, we unfortunately couldn't make that one. It was it was high on our list of things to finish the year off with.
That was early days, that one.
Very early days. Yes.
So was it like the 17th of December?
Yes,
so it was
I think
it's super close to like Christmas, and
it was literally a week before. It was also the World Cup final that year. There was also train strikes. So I don't know how we did that event, really, if I'm honest.
Still absolutely packed despite all of that.
Yeah, and to be fair, it was it was a very small venue, like tiny venue, tiny venue, but it had to start somewhere.
And it had pizza, so that was
we did have pizza, pizza and bar. So but we don't need to talk about those events.
We'll get to that. We'll close off with that, because we have a very fun event coming up this week as well.
Scary.
So being able to actually speak to developers whilst you're there, I think the first time I experienced that was at Knots VGE, and then I think on a larger scale was probably WASD at the beginning of this year, being able to, literally spend 10-15 minutes chatting to the developer after you'd played the game, to just chat about it, and sometimes it's just a really fun experience hearing how a game has gotten off the ground, or why it's a particular way, or they might ask, well, did you think about doing that? And you're like, I did not. and now I need to play it again to kind of see how that feels. So I think the sort of setup and the format that Debug had was really, really cool. Being able to sort of walk around the shop floor and experience all of that, and a real selection of, I'm trying to think of the right way to describe it. I guess you've got some games that maybe had like one person there because it's a one-man development team, and then other ones there were teams there. So it really was all of indie had to offer, which was dead cool.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, there's a good range of genres of game. There's also a really nice range of art styles as well, from like your retro-inspired sort of pixel art right up to like really nice sort of 3D animation, like the was it Gravity X? I want to say the sort of airboarding game, and then you've got things like Flea, for example, and Roadcraft, which have got like more of a pixel art style. You just got a little bit of everything there. So great man range. So my question was going to be, out of the games that were there showcase, what is one of your personal favourites? I might say your personal favourite, but I'll give you a little of ambiguity there, so you can sort of say it's one of your favourites.
Dan, do you want to go first?
Wow, that is a good question. I mean, people are going to accuse me of bias no matter what I say, but I really do like Flea, like a lot. Did he have Tapeworm there as well, Alistair? Tapeworm, I think, is my favourite homebrew of all time.
Wow, it's an insanely good game. I picked up Flea on the NES like a year or two ago, and then last weekend messaged Al, I was like, please tell me you've got an NES version of Tapeworm with you this weekend, because I keep missing it. And he's like, yep, we've got some. So I'm just looking at it up there. I came home with that. And then also with Flea, I managed to get Flea 2 on the Dreamcast as well, just to sort of keep me running.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I love Tapeworm. It's ridiculously cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're going to ask me for mine now, aren't you?
Yeah.
The problem is, I am very retro biased, as we're gonna, that's kind of me normally. But
maybe choose. Maybe we can choose a retro one and a modern one, because I've got a modern one as well.
Yeah. Go on, you do that, and then I'll answer.
Adventures of a Cat in Space.
Oh yes. Yes.
Which also has a very, very addictive theme tune. So yeah, that's one to go and check out. The Adventures of a Cat in Space.
I think for me, sorry, I'm just looking at the list to remember. Let me. So obviously Nanuka, aka the new Out of the Bit. I mean, would we class that as? I mean, that's not retro. That's very not retro. I would say
retro inspired.
It does have like quite a retro art style, though. Yeah, it's an retro.
That's the retro one then. Ooh, Christ! There's so many good ones. I actually really. Oh, this is kind of retro as well. Like Reality Drift, because it feels very Outrun in style. But then
that had a little element to it that I wasn't expecting, because he said make good decisions. I was like, really? Okay. And I just was going around the track and I was like, cool, max speed, let's get more of that. Oh, I can get more max speed. Okay, let's get more of that. Oh shit, I can't take the corners very well. I probably should have got some grip there. So then I get grip and then some accelerate, and then I finished in 30th, even though about halfway through I was in first, but I dropped to 30th because I didn't make good decisions. I need to play this again.
I mean, what about Cabby, for example, was a good game. That was a cool little game, multiplayer game.
I mean, let's be honest, they all are, because we chose them.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
If they weren't good, we probably wouldn't have showcased them, right? Because it's all about showing the best of the best.
Yeah.
So no matter what you say, we're going to say we love them all, because we do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's it. And, ultimately, we run out of space really, really quickly, because, the venue's only got a certain amount of space, right? So, but yeah, I'd agree with Dan.
opens up that question of sort of like, where do you go from there? Because you're like, oh, well, we had 19 games this time. I think we actually ended up with 20 in the end because we added one very last second. 40. Go on, let's.
Double it for next year. Double it for next year.
Yeah.
Christ.
You can do it.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But
The one that really stuck with me that I really enjoyed was Gravity X. I think was that the sort of snowboarding. Yeah.
I think it's X Gravity, but
it was this mixture of like Tony Hawk's meets Cool Borders meets very modern graphics on a hoverboard, and it was really engaging. So as soon as I did some sort of jump and a flip, and all of a sudden I was on the ceiling, and that was really at first it was quite, oh crap, I'm on the ceiling, shit, where do I go now? And then sort of as they're talking me through it, it's like, how do you grind? And she's like, as you jump in, push this button, and then you'll be able to hit onto that. If you do this button, that does a grab. Man, I can see that game being very popular. We would love to get them on as a guest and actually talk about the development of that game, because that is a very, very cool title. It
was more polished than you'd expect too, because they've not shown it off. Like if you try and find video online, there's none.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we've very much got an exclusive with that one. So you assume that if there's nothing, no screenshots or anything, like how far along can it really be? But yeah, it's really, really quite mature.
Yeah,
as it currently is.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that, and the control system was pretty perfect as well. No input lag.
I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I really would like
when
to
it was
see that.
submitted, we had nothing to go on, and then we got to see it. I was like, oh wow, this actually is really good. Like,
that's got to be a really fun thing for you guys to do, is it not? When people submit things and you get to essentially try out all of these games, or the demos, or whatever it is that they're sort of putting together. I mean, it's got to be. Or is it daunting at all with that many games and things to be playing?
So like obviously for the showcases, that's kind of more Alex's thing, but for the awards, I actually played every single game that we had submitted, some more than others, but I had some level of experience with every single one. Yeah, and there was probably as many as 3,000.
Oof!
God,
so that's an undertaking, isn't it?
Yeah. So that took like a long time to go through. But yeah, it's fantastic, because there's no way that you'd normally have the opportunity to experiment with that many games, right? Yeah, it's definitely the best bit about it.
Yeah, I think I'm lucky if I finish 20 games a year, let alone get round to quadruple.
I definitely can't finish them, right? But it's like this maybe that's something that's interesting to talk about if people kind of want to hear, is like what the process is like from going from submission to winning. Because there's quite a few steps involved.
Yeah, let's run down to that, because hit me.
So like submission is pretty much open to anyone that's made a game, or in some cases is currently making a game. For most of them, has released a game in 2024. The first step is, did it really actually release in 2024, or did they release it some other year, or is it still in development and not come out yet? That's kind of like the very first cutoff. And then there's the checking kind of like overall quality. Like, I mean, it sounds really harsh, but is it a 1 out of 10?
Yes.
Immediately you have to kind of make a snap judgment of like, is it going to be anywhere close to as good as the other submissions? Basically, is it potentially a winner? Once that's done, it's really down to just playing them, getting a very, 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 very sort of in-depth feel for what they're like.
Yeah.
And that's done by our shortlisters, which is basically a huge number of people who get to play these games, and they go, yeah, this one's good. This one's good. No, this one's not so good. and then they kind of add up their scores, and then we get our top 6 out of the process. And then after that, it's like really in-depth checking.
And who does the sort of the super in-depth checking? Is that specifically?
That's our panel.
Okay.
Our independent secret panel.
Whoa, I like the word secret.
It's a load of, I can only describe them as games industry professionals who are anonymous. So they cannot be bribed.
Excellent. I mean, that if you're going to bring in people to judge something, that seems to be the best way to do it. Anonymous and unbribable, if that's a word. I might have just invented a word there.
Yeah, it's kind of the only way to go, because I mean it's not fair otherwise, is it?
No. And with regards to sort of that final list, do you have any influence over that at all, or is it all through the secret panel?
So there's only one that I have any influence over, and that's the Debug Game of the Year.
Okay.
Which I have, well, not me personally, but like the magazine team have full influence over. Because we basically discussed within our amongst ourselves which was our favorite game of the year, and then we sort of work out which one of those ends up the winner. So that's why that category doesn't have nominees. It's literally just we don't care what anyone else thinks. This is our favorite, basically.
Yeah,
it's the only one that we have any sort of like say over.
Yeah. And quite rightly too. You should get to pick one. It is your award ceremony too.
Yeah.
And well picked as well, because I think Paper Trail was my favourite game out of all the indie games I played last year. I think it was.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really fun. I had a chance to play it at WASD, and I came away from that thinking I really liked that game. I'm going to try and get hold of it and play it. I finished it a little while ago. I confess I didn't do everything, so you can get all the little extra origami things in the level. I was just happy to get through the game, because it does get quite challenging at some points. Like, I can't wrap my head around this bit.
I mean, that game is interesting because it's fully indie, like as in there's no publisher. It's fully themselves, but it's also on like 30 different platforms. Like it's on Netflix even.
Is it?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
What?
So if you're watching, you've got Netflix and you've signed it on your phone, go to the Netflix game section on your phone and look up Paper Trail. It plays very well on a phone as well, because it's all touchscreen. So you're dragging and moving the paper folds over. So yeah, definitely go check that out.
If you've got like an iPad or something, that's like the absolute best way to play it, because it's like you're actually playing with real paper.
Yes. Yeah. It's very cool. Very fun game.
Yeah, I think that's where Antstream, for example, could develop a bit more, is lean even heavier into indies, because it gives them an outlet. They could even have exclusives, so to speak, just to bring people to that platform, because we already know, I think we all use it or have used it. It is a really good service. You know, you can play it on PlayStation now, Xbox, PC, iPad. I just wish more people knew about Antstream because of what it does and what it offers. But it's to see, I guess.
And
yeah, I'm a fan.
I think the thing that was really good about the awards selection as well, and I know Tim sort of touched on this, I think earlier on, and he has done a video about the awards itself as well. But the thing I really liked about it were a couple of the categories that you don't normally see in other awards, regardless of whether that's for music, film, television, whatever it is. You know, you might have missed it category where, you know, a game that is really worth plugging, but you might have actually missed it because there's you know, we're spoiled for choice at the moment. You know, we as gamers, we eat well, but it does mean occasionally we will miss something. So having a category that actually highlights games that are really good, but you might have missed it due to the size of the developer or the time of year it came out, really cool. I mean, it doesn't get more indie actually, or supporting of indie, than finding a game that people might have missed from an indie category and highlighting that. So
Yeah,
really
The cool
like
thing
that
about that category is actually public submission.
Is it?
So the most of the rest of them are submitted by the people that made the game. So it's like, I submit my game for your consideration, but with that one, it was fully public. So because of that, we got like really long list of games.
Yeah, that was
without keys supplied. So that was actually even harder to evaluate. Had to buy some copies for that one.
Yeah. That was a category I really liked. I also really liked the category for accessibility. So it's becoming more well known. You're seeing more and more third party developers, or PlayStation, Xbox, everyone, they're slowly accepting, oh, actually there is a huge market here actually for people who may have a particular accessibility issue, and if we can somehow get them engaged with our product, then not only do they get to enjoy it, we then also get to sort of bring them into the fold and the family that they have. We have a category specifically for games that celebrate accessibility. Again, a phenomenal category idea.
I mean, you'd be surprised at, for example, 20% of the world is dyslexic.
Yeah,
literally 20, 1 in 5 people, and that's actually even higher represented within the gaming community for some reason. No one's quite sure why, apparently, but it's more common within the gaming world. And yet games just don't really cater to it. I mean, imagine trying to play something like Pokemon if you're struggling with text.
It would be a nightmare just trying to even diverge some of the words that these crazy Pokemon are called sometimes. I mean, even someone who's not dyslexic is going to struggle with that. But having that category to really their abilities and it's just such a cool category. So I really enjoyed that category.
It's our way, in a small way, to sort of incentivize, like, you should be doing this anyway, but if you're going to be rewarded for it, even more reason why you should take it seriously, and also highlight why it's important.
It is, and it is really important as well, which is fantastic. And the other category as well was the mental health category. So games that sort of either sort of come together and highlight a particular issue, or bring an awareness to something, because that's something else that gaming is so good at, is building a world and telling a story, and actually having a category that's dedicated to that particular topic. I really do take my hat off to that, because that's something that sits and it probably does to a lot of people, even people that don't necessarily want to talk about it.
Absolutely. It's a
it celebrates
very
that.
important
It's
one.
great.
Very important category.
So what are the plans potentially for the Debug Indie Game Awards going forwards? Have there been discussions about what, where, when, how, who?
I mean, in short, no. Basically, Friday, I think most of us hadn't slept for a little while leading up to Friday. So I can't speak for everybody, but personally, Saturday was a complete write-off. Sunday was I'm going to do basically nothing. And then one day, Monday, today, I've just started getting back into the rhythm of things. So no, we've not really. It's too early to really say. I would say I would love to be able to say this is when it's happening and this is where it's happening and all the rest of it. But like, realistically, we're probably not going to think about it for a good few months.
And I think that's fair enough. You guys have all put in an insane amount of effort. There's other members of the team as well, and they've all put in, a good hard shift, I think, to get this year's Indie Game Awards to the point it was at.
Absolutely.
So
Plus, we've got lots of other things happening between now and then, which
Yeah.
need the time and focus, right?
You do. I mean, that's almost like a little segue we could sort of switch into there, which is fantastic because we're slowly coming up on that hour mark, and everybody has things, and obviously you guys have not slept, so it'd be mean to keep you all night, even though we could keep you here all night. But yes, so I mean, moving in nicely, we have an event this weekend called Bristol VGE, which is headed up by Alex there. So recently announced today. What was the announcement today?
Well, actually, it's not public yet. Actually, it depends. It depends which. But are you on about the guest or are you on about the actual ticket sales?
The ticket sales.
Tickets. Sorry, yes, sorry. That is. So yeah, it's sold out today. Bristol Video Games Expo.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, I want to say thank you to everyone who's purchased a ticket. We've had people from all walks of life. We've had Bristol Uni are getting involved. They're bringing about 40 students because they specifically want to check out the debug area. That's no joke. As well as that, yeah, because obviously they've got a big game development bit in Bristol, as well as it's how do I even put it into words? It blows me away that people want to come to an event that I've specifically put so much time into, so much time. Like even when I probably shouldn't say this on there, but even when I'm at work, I'm also dipping into emails and bits and pieces. But yeah, and
done, hasn't it?
It does, and obviously with the support of all of you guys as well, because obviously you guys are going to be doing the talks, and obviously thank you, by the way, for doing the talks at the Debug Indie Game Awards, because you guys smashed it out the park. You absolutely did.
We're just grateful to be a part of it. To be honest, we'd probably stand there and hand out sandwiches. It's
yeah.
I wish I had the time to watch them live, but I've since been able to watch the recordings, which are also coming soon. By the way, if you weren't able to
check those out,
there you go.
If you weren't able to be there in person, which most of the world wasn't.
Did you know the thing that was quite funny to me is we were in the hall like throughout most of the day, either running the talks or introducing people. And it wasn't until one of the very last talks of the day, I went out to the front area by the bar and realized that there was a TV screen that was showing the stage. I was like, I didn't know people could see us out here.
Yeah.
That was quite a revelation.
Even between talks as well. So.
Yes, it's like there's even more people who have actually watched these than I realized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was I? Can't remember. Oh, you guys doing talks. And then obviously, Debug will be there. We have a nice range of developers, nice range of traders, loads of talks. And in fact, there's going to be another talk announced tomorrow, which you guys know who that is, but obviously you can't say anything. It's been a lot of work. All of these events, they always are. But yeah, like I said, when it literally hit like sold out today, I was like, okay, because we're talking like nearly knots across 2 days numbers in the one day. So yeah, Amy will be there too, obviously. She had to throw
everything else is irrelevant.
No, apparently. Yeah. But yeah, we've also got the Museum of Computing History from Swindon. They're going to be there. Christ, what don't we have? We've even got a cosplay panel this year. That was a new one out of nowhere. We had a couple cosplayers reach out. We were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Let's do a talk. Because, naturally the video game scene does kind of cross over a little bit into that scene, if so to speak. But yeah, so I hope everyone's going to enjoy it. Like I said,
inevitable.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm always cautious,
The
We're
enjoyment is inevitable.
To it, aren't we? We're looking forward to some of the talks we're going to get to do.
Yeah. And then it's on the road to Knott's VGE.
Yes.
And I'm not going to lie, it's a massive venue. So,
Like I said, if you're
so-
selling out, you got to go bigger. You know, so you
Yeah.
sell out events, you go bigger next time.
so this will be a gamble, but
Fortune
sure
favours
we'll
the
be
brave,
okay.
mate.
Hopefully, yeah.
I know a thing or two about big venues, and it's
Yeah.
scary times, right?
Yeah, it's the cost is like 4 times the cost, and we just got to fill it now. But the good thing
Tickets
is,
available. Like, have you released tickets yet? I don't. No, I
Not
suppose
yet.
it would be quite early, wouldn't it?
yeah. So obviously, I
But you
wanted
can
to
sign up, right?
You can, correct. You can
Mm.
sign up if you go to notsvg.com now. There is a form. You just click it. It's a Google form. You just put your email address and name, and then as soon as the tickets go live, you get notified. They're early bird, so you'll get it before general sale, and then with that, you get 30% off the tickets as well. So it's
Which is
literally
a
just
massive discount.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, we usually get a pretty good uptake on that. Like I said, I'm always so thankful for anyone who wants to buy a ticket to an event I'm running. So, debug wise, if you want me to go into this a little bit more, I can.
Mate, go for it.
Okay, so the debug side of it, again, we're probably talking similar numbers to the Indie Game Awards for developers. So we're talking about 20 plus, but I think we could probably touch near 30 with this venue. But we'll see. Because obviously you need
No
power.
more
All
than
that
32,
sort of
please.
Hey, no more than 30. No, we won't hit. We'll keep it around 30. I've already got a couple talks starting to line up already. I've had some discussions, so that's good. And yeah, just quite a few traders have registered their interest for both the days, and trying to think what else. It's just gonna be. I hope everyone's gonna enjoy it. It's free parking. There's literally 2 car parks, and they're all free.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I hope everyone enjoys it
Oh,
when
mate.
it gets announced a bit more.
It's gonna be great. It's last year's was a real success. There was a huge amount of people through the doors at all times. Everyone had a smile on their face, and I've got no doubt that this weekend is going to be exactly the same thing, just in Bristol. People are going to come in. They're going to have a good time. There's some great talks to be had. There's some really good guests, and I've said before that if I could be anybody in the world at the moment, I'd probably want to be Ross Tregenza. I just think he's cool as. So being able to talk to him again is going to be a real treat. Dead excited. We can't wait. 2 events in 2 weeks for us. That's unheard of. That's one of the things that me and Tim was saying at the weekend was something that just was born out of boredom in lockdown has now brought us to a real great collection of people. And to think that if we'd not done this, we wouldn't be sort of hanging out with you guys now. We wouldn't have been hanging out with you last weekend. We wouldn't be looking forward to this weekend. It's just great. It's really cool.
These events bring people together, right? And that's kind of why we do them.
Yeah.
It's all about
that's my
community.
selfish reason for wanting to do them. Is like I want cool people to hang out with, and this is a great way to do that.
I don't think that's a selfish thing at all. I think that's a wonderful way to bring like-minded people together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Super. Right, chaps, we have just gone over that hour mark, so it's probably time to bring us to a close. We'd like to obviously thank you both for coming on. It's literally been a one full day since you guys had the event, so to come on so soon after and just talk about it with us is great. So thank you so much for coming on, and again thank you so much for having us for the day. It was a real honor to be a part of it.
We appreciate the invite, and we're glad. Like I said, we wouldn't have thought of anyone else to come and do those talks. So
shush. So for anyone along in the chat that doesn't or hasn't already, head on over to the Debug YouTube page. You can subscribe to that. There'll be all the talks on there. There'll be the actual awards, which I think are up already. So do go and watch that and get up to date with everything there.
Go there now because all the talks from last year are there.
Fantastic. So got to jump.
Hours of fun stuff. So watch.
There'll be a link in the description, so please do head over to the Debug magazine as well. Like I say, it is worth your price of entry. It is a high-end magazine. Please do go and support it. It's a really great magazine. And then for anyone that is coming to Bristol on Saturday, we will look forward to seeing you on Saturday. We know we've got a few people coming along, so it's going to be great fun to meet you guys and hang out and just talk all things gaming.
And
then,
also, I was going to say, we are also back live tomorrow for an evening with Bad Fox Studios, and we're talking about their new game, Dungeon Fell, and we even have some Steam keys to give out. So if you join us tomorrow, you might win a Steam key for an indie game that's in beta at the moment. I want to say we've had some early access to play that. So that's what we're doing tomorrow at 8. So we've got 2 days in a row of streams as well. It's a busy week for RGR.
So all that's left to say is people in the chat, thank you so much for watching along live. It's greatly appreciated when you do. If you're new to the channel or you find this through the elusive YouTube algorithm, do consider hitting that subscribe button because it's free and it helps us out a huge amount. And as always, if you like the content, please give that a little thumbs up because that lets us know that you've been here as well. So all that's left to say is thank you, Alex. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
And we will see you this weekend. And everybody else, we will see you tomorrow.
See you soon.
Good evening.
Bye.